What's up, everyone? It's Bones here. In today's video, I'll be revisiting ninjas, this time around with a little bit of a matchup guide. But before I begin, if you could happen to click on those thumbs up and subscribe buttons, it would be greatly appreciated, as it goes a long way in supporting the channel and shows me that you like content like this. Clicking on those notification bells would also mean a lot, as they help notify you when I upload on the channel. So I know how much people are annoyed by the Labyrinth deck because of all the back row and floodgates that it plays, as we're going to normal summon the Hanzo here, and the first thing that you can probably see is the double Eclipse spells that we play, and I play this specifically for back row decks, as ninjas can play themselves kind of like a back row deck, and I built mine to sort of beat a back row deck. But we're going to pass to our opponent, and we're going to see them hit D barrier. So whatever they make is not going to be easy to play around, as our set board is just the notebook and the Hanzo. So my opponent is going to summon the Ariana. They're then going to get the search for the field spell, as they're going to activate the prosperity in the imperm zone, and I kind of let that go because they knew that we searched the notebook, and if we were to imperm them, we would have hit the Ariana. From here, we're going to see them get the big welcome Labyrinth, as they're then going to activate the field spell, set 4, and move on to the end phase where they'll be able to bring out their lady, as we're going to chain the notebook, and we're just doing it because we were going to anyways, and our opponent can't do anything after this. But from here, we're then going to see the special summon of lady in defense position, and we got the Hanzo specifically because in a game where you're going against a back row deck, resources are critical. And you see that I'm on the Lord of the Heavenly Prison, and I know that this is another uncommon option. As I said, I built this to be more of a back row deck than compared to other traditional ninja lists you may see with more hand traps, but I'll explain all of that later on, as the main point of the Lord of the Heavenly Prison is not just to protect your back row, but it also gets you into more follow-up that can pair with stuff like Hanzo that gets you into one of your ninjutsu art cards. Or it can just bring out something like Kagero, which can be a monster reborn, or just bring something out of your hand in face-down defense position, potentially getting you into a fusion play. But now that the stage is set up, we're going to start our turn with flipping up the Hanzo so that we can get ourselves a Mitsu. And we're getting the Mitsu in specific because we have a lot to play around, so we have to be more aggressive with what we can do at this point in time, especially considering how our hand looks and the 2 iron daggers that we have that can help us get through our opponent's board. So we're going to activate the Mitsu in our hand, which our opponent is going to chain the Rivalry of Warlords, and this will put a slowdown to our turn, but we do have 2 level 4s, which is also nice, and this is another reason why we went into Hanzo with the notebook, and it's to get into Blade Armor Ninja in case something like this happened. But from here, we're now going to use its effect to detach one, and this is another important thing in this turn. We're then going to activate the Iron Dagger in the free zone, and then we're going to see the response of Big Welcome Labyrinth, as we'll get the lady in Chainlink 3, bringing out a Underroot onto the field, as we're then going to see a Silver Castle also hit the board, returning the lady to the hand, popping the Iron Dagger, and he does this to play around evenly, as the way I had been playing this turn could easily make one think that you do have evenly, as I got the Hanzo, went straight into a rank 4. I was never committing much resources to the board, so I can kind of understand the thought process there. But from here, we're then going to see the Ariana get the draw, and we'll see the Silver Castle trigger, which will end up hitting the Mitsu out of our hand, and they'll draw into a Compulse, as we're now going to normal summon the Kagero, and we did it in this order specifically because we want to be able to bait things out, and we're also going to get access into Mizan, potentially, as our opponent activates a Dogmatic of Punishment, and we're going to see a slight misplay here where they hit the Kagero instead of the Blade Armor Ninja. And I call it a misplay because if they sent Entis, then they could pop the Kagero with the Entis so that they can't trigger it in the graveyard. But that doesn't happen, so we're going to see a Garura send-off, which will get them into a draw. And then I'm going to activate the Iron Dagger, which from here here we'll then be able to use its effect, banishing the Hanzo that we detached earlier, popping the Rivalry of Warlords, and now we can sort of play again, as maybe that's another misplay where the Silver Castle was in defense position, but it doesn't matter too much considering the circumstances coming up momentarily. But we're going to see that we're going to get over the two monsters, go into main phase 2, and now we're going to go into Zeus. The Iron Dagger will go to the graveyard, and this will give us back our Hanzo. From here, we'll then be able to go to the end phase. We're not going to activate the Zeus yet, as we want to catch our opponent at a better time to Zeus them. So they're going to bring out the Lady, and then from here, they're going to draw into a big welcome, as they're going to flip their Lady into attack over the Mitsu, and this is something that I couldn't control that happened and kind of changes a lot of what happens in this replay. For some reason, I didn't get the prompt in order to attach something to Zeus when my Mitsu was destroyed. I had been looking at my screen attentively in order to get the Zeus effect also. My chain was on, so it's just something that happened with the simulator and something I couldn't prevent. But at the same time, this also helps for the cause of the video, and the reason why I'm showing it is because I want this to be more of a how to play versus Labyrinth, and if I just Zeused everything, then there wouldn't be as much content. But from here, we're going to see our opponent set a couple of more cards, as now we're going to activate the Zeus. And we're doing this because now that they've committed to the board more, we can force something out, and if they don't have it, then we can hit their board before jumping into our turn. But we will see the D barrier, and then we'll see the Lady get her effect as Chain Link 3, bringing out a punishment. And then from here, we're just going to see the activation of the Labyrinth, bringing out the Ariana. The Ariana will get a search for the Welcome Labyrinth, and then we'll just head into my turn, as I'm going to draw a instant fusion for turn, and this is a nice draw because it just gets you into the level 5 fusion that is basically removal, and we're going to banish one of the Hanzos in order to get over the field spell. I hit the field spell because in a matchup like this where you're playing against a back row deck and the field spell just makes them even stronger, you have to get over that card first before playing through the back row becomes any easier. So we're going to see the response with Big Welcome, and we're going to chain Green Ninja to that, and we're doing this in order to get another body on board. The level 5 is a machine, which is important to remember, as it's a different typing than your Green Ninja or even Hanzo, Kagero, and stuff like that, so it can get you into your fusions. But we're going to then see the Lady come back out, as he's going to return it to hand with the Big Welcome, and he's going to target the Green Ninja to pop. And the cool thing about bringing out Green Ninja was also that it forced my opponent to choose between Zeus and Green Ninja, because if they kept the Green Ninja on board, I would be able to fuse again. And this is also where the Zeus thing kind of matters, because I would have a second attached material from that, but again, it's something that we just couldn't do, so we're going to work with what we did have, and that's going to be the Zeus attachment now, and we're going to see the Green Ninja also turn the Ariana into attack position, as we're going to see the Ariana get a draw and draw into another Ariana, setting a card, as we're then going to see a Ninjutsu Art of Duplication being attached to the Zeus, and I did that because you don't want to see any of your bricks in a situation like this, so if we could get them out of deck, it's better off. And from here we're going to normal summon the Hanzo. The Hanzo will then get us into our Ninjutsu Art of Notebook, and this is just nice because our opponent has cards. It'll keep us in the game. You want to be able to keep looping your resources in order to compete with a deck that tries to snowball you. So from here, we're then going to go into the battle phase, attack the Ariana with the Hanzo, and now we're just going to go into the main phase 2, where we'll go into Mizan, and then we'll activate the Ninjutsu Art Notebook of Mystery, as we're going to put a Green Ninja along with a Ninjutsu Art of Duplication on board, and from here we'll then be able to, I believe, activate the Lord of the Heavenly Prison, protecting our duplication, and this is just going to act as another form of follow-up plus protection, and it's also a 3k beater, which I like because when you can't go into your Boral Sword for whatever reason for the OTKs, this is just an extra way to get extra damage, and you can even put the Iron Dagger on it, making it a ninja so it can attack directly when Mizan is on board, so that's just kind of nice. But we're going to see the Ariana be Chainlink 1, the Mizan will be Chainlink 2, as it's going to bring out the Tobari, And then from here, they're going to add a big welcome Labyrinth, as they'll then go into the battle phase, and they're going to attack the Tobari. Now, I wouldn't have used the Tobari's effect if they didn't do this, but they're going to activate the big welcome Labyrinth, and now I'm going to respond to the big welcome with Tobari in order to make the level 5, and I do this because we're going to lose our Zeus. So we have to flip to a more aggressive style of play if you want to play through their board without it. Zeus was kind of our defense in that scenario, which made our opponent play around something, but now we don't have that leisure, so we're just going to aim for the back row as the green ninja is going to hit the Ariana. Then we'll see the punishment target the Mizan, as the Kagero is going to activate in the graveyard, returning the Mizan to hand and bringing itself face down. And then we'll see the activation of Lord of the Heavenly Prison here, which will bring itself out, and this will also get us into a mystery for this deck, being able to get its follow-up like that. And we'll then see the Welcome Labyrinth activate along with the Lady in response to the welcome, as they're going to get another punishment, and then from here they're going to bring out another copy of Lady with the welcome Labyrinth, as we'll then see them attack over our monsters, as the Kagero is going to flip face up and get ourselves back the Blade Armor Ninja. Zeus is our way to victory if we want to win this game at this point in time. This is just another approach that I wanted to show in this video because of an assortment that it gives you versus a deck like this that can keep you in games that maybe you shouldn't be in. But we're going to pass back to our turn as we get the Book of Moon, and game ones are going to be rough versus Labyrinth at times because of things like this. Lady protects herself when your opponent has set cards, and then you get things like Imperm and Book of Moon that do absolutely nothing, and that can just make game ones really hard. But we'll see that we're going to flip back the Blade Armor Ninja, as we're now going to go into the battle phase immediately, as we're going to attack over the Ariana. Our opponent won't do anything, as we're going to get back into the Zeus. And this was my idea to begin with when bringing back the Blade Armor Ninja, and we're then going to activate the Art Notebook of Mystery, getting back the Kagero, and setting a Dancing Leaves, and that will come up also, but at this point in time, it's basically just grind, and we brought back the Kagero because we didn't have any other face-up ninjas, so my idea was that if they had to attack into this, we could get its effect anyways. But from here, we're then going to set the Book of Moon and pass back to our opponent. What was looking a lot worse before looks somewhat manageable because we played for our resources. Now keep in mind that we could even be ahead if we did get the Zeus effect in order to attach the second card for its effect, but I would also like to point out that they did have the Terrors of the Overroot this entire time, so if Zeus ever did activate for a second time, they can just respond to it with this. But obviously, because of it being a simulator, that did not happen. And from here, we're then going to see the response of Lady to the big welcome, as we're going to see another Terrors of the Overroot set. And they're going to bring back the Silver Castle, return the Lady to their hand, as they're going to activate the Silver Castle. We'll chain the duplication. We tribute the Kagero, and they're going to activate the Underroot in response to it. And that will pretty much seal this game, as our opponent is going to be able to destroy our Zeus. And that's pretty much our last line of defense as we go into our opponent's turn, and they can just activate the big welcome, returning our Lord of the Heavenly Prison to hand. And from here, they'll be able to get the Lady, which will destroy one card we control, and now they can just attack. So I know that Zeus thing changed a lot of what could have happened. I would just like to reiterate that it wasn't meant to be the perfect replay. It was meant to show interactions and how to play versus decks like this. And even though we did end up losing, we have the reality that Zeus could have had the second material, and this game could have gone a little bit differently. So this second replay, and it will have a misplay that happens in the end, but I want to point out that it does not matter because one way or the other, I only had to get Mizan on board and we had the resources to do that. But from here we're going to start by seeing our opponent go first this time around. As I open the evenly, I pick second because I sided a whole bunch of back row stuff, and we have a fairly decent hand as my opponent is going to normal summon the Ariana. Add their Labyrinth to hand, as they're then going to activate the Prosperity. From there they're going to banish just 3, as they're going to reveal 3, and that skill drain could have been a problem, but they do get the Lord of the Heavenly Prison, as they're going to activate it, then set 2 cards, and from here they're going to pass, and I'm pretty sure that they're doing this specifically to play around the Evenly, and Labyrinth is a deck that can play around the Evenly, as you'll see momentarily. We do top deck an Imperm, which would have been nice last turn for the Ariana, but we're going to see the activation of Big Welcome in the battle phase, as we just went immediately there. And our opponent is going to bring out the Lady, in which we'll see the Lady return to the hand. They'll then be able to use the effect of Ariana, which we're going to use the Imperm on that. And then from here, our opponent is going to activate the Compulse. Now keep in mind, while Imperm may not have been a great choice to keep in the deck, it's one of those things where you don't want to overside for one deck when making your side deck. And this was more of a judgment call to keep in for something like this, or just hitting Ariana in general, as it's most of the time going to be useless against the ladies. And we're going to see that he's going to chain the Compulse, getting back the Ariana, dodging the Imperm, and this is still fine, as now we've gotten rid of both of his sets, and my opponent does make another misplay there that kind of changes how I play this turn, in which they set a card off of the Ariana. But we're going to activate the Tobari here, bringing out the Hanzo. We'll then be able to chain the Green Ninja to the Hanzo, and from here we're then going to get a search in which we'll get the Kagero, and you're going to notice a theme here, which are the most important cards in this matchup. Being stuff like Kagero, you also have the ability to protect your life points with the ability to special summon Tobari on your opponent's turn, making it so that it can't be destroyed by battle or card effect. From here we're going to normal summon the Kagero. We're going to bring back out the Tobari from our graveyard in face down defense position, and then from here we can go into the level 5 fusion, and this would have been Saizo. Our opponent didn't set a card here, so that's where it is kind of different. But we're going to then see the Mizan come out, as we're going to set the Dancing Leaves and pass to our opponent. Do apologize for these replays not being perfect in play as far as my opponent is concerned, but I did think that there was just enough material that was super useful in this matchup to still make a video on it. So please let me know down below if they bother you, if you can live with the misplays as long as you're getting informative videos like this. Still help you kind of navigate through a matchup. So we're going to see the top deck Prosperity, and then he's going to activate it, as he's going to banish 3, reveal 3, as we're then going to see him add a Welcome Labyrinth. And from here we'll then see a set along with the normal summon of Ariana. And we're going to see Ariana get her effect, as we're going to chain the Mizan to that, bringing out our Tobari. And from here he's going to add the Big Welcome to his hand, activate the field spell, and then he'll activate the Lord of the Heavenly Prison, chain the Lady to that. The Lady is going to come out in defense position via her effect, as we're going to use the effect of Tobari in order to fuse here, go into our level 5 fusion, and we're doing this in order to put the Ariana face down and get some removal. We don't go after the field spell this time because we wanted to get rid of the Welcome, would banish it and not allow it to get its graveyard effect. So from here we're going to activate the Dancing Leaves now, with the only opportunity, or one of the only opportunities that we have in order to tribute an opponent's monster. They're going to use Big Welcome in response to that though. Then we'll just pass back to my turn, where I'm going to draw the Hanzo, normal summon the Hanzo, and that was a big top deck because we get the Eclipse spell off of it. And from here we're going to activate the Eclipse spell, equipping it to the level 5, as our opponent is going to respond with the Welcome Labyrinth. We're going to chain the Mizan, bringing out the Geo, and we'll keep in mind that we brought out the Geo in order for our opponent to make a choice, because we would have been able to put the Ariana face down. The Lady unfortunately wouldn't be able to go face down because they do have a set card, which is kind of funny how that works. Something else that you kind of have to know about the matchup. Because of this, we also allow our other monsters to survive, as they're going to get the pop off the field spell through Welcome Labyrinth, and that'll hit the Geo, as we're then going to see the Lord of the Heavenly Prison use its effect, as we're going to see a draw from Ariana, which gets them into a D-barrier. They do set, and from here they're going to get another set via the Dogmatic of Punishment. off of the Lord of Heavenly Prison, as now we're just going to attack directly and get in for a lot of damage, putting them at 1200 left. So that's another cute thing ninjas have, which is the ability to just put in massive amounts of damage. And we're going to go into the level 5 here. The Iron Dagger goes to the graveyard, getting us back our Hanzo for the follow-up. We're going to banish another Hanzo off of the level 5, and we're going to hit the D barrier, which was just a really nice hit and an important one because of how this plays out. Now we'll set the Dancing Leaves to end our turn, as our opponent is going to bring out their lady, and then they're going to see a top deck of Compulse, and this is perfectly fine for us because it's a trap that targets while we have Kagero in the graveyard. So we're going to activate the Dancing Leaves, as this is going to be the final time we can really get a set card on their side of the field that we contribute with it, and we'll get ourselves the Tobari. And now we're going to see a pair of misplays that do happen, but I do want to point out why they don't matter as the replay continues. So our opponent is going to go into the battle phase to try to clear everything we have, and then they're going to attack over the Tobari, and they didn't know that it couldn't be destroyed. So they're going to go to the end phase, and they're going to activate the Dogmatic of Punishment on it also. This is where I want to talk about what happens if they didn't activate Dogmatic of Punishment. Waited until our turn, had the Hanzo normal summon, which can get us into the Iron Dagger, force out one of the back rows. The minute they target it with either Punishment or the Compulsory, we can bring back our Kagero. Kagero would give us the extra body board, as we also have Hanzo and potentially the Tobari or whatever hit off the punishment, but the big thing here is that the Iron Dagger would be able to get back already banished Tobari, which then we can use to special summon a ninja back from our hand that they would Compulse, and that would just give us access to the Mizan like that. I just don't see any way they could have played through what we had with the fact that they had two traps that specifically targeted while we had Kagero in the graveyard. So we're going to see how it plays out, as we're going to see the Bari live through the punishment. We'll return it to the hand via the Kagero, and then from here the field spell will activate, bringing back the Ariana, and then from here we're going to see them add the Welcome Labyrinth. As we're then going to go back to my turn, we'll put back the Dancing Leaves in our hand, and this is just in case we end up having to evenly our opponent. This is a nice thing about that card, as it is a continuous trap, and just being able to go back into the hand, making evenly alive again, is just really helpful. But we're going to flip over the Kagero. Kagero will get its effect, which will bring back the Tobari. From here we're going to go into the Mizan. We'll normal summon the Hanzo now, as we want to be able to get through the back row, and we're going to add our second copy of Iron Dagger now. You see the second copy just coming up again, and we're going to equip it to the Hanzo. We'll then be able to banish the Green Ninja. Doesn't really matter at this point what we do. Banish, as my opponent is going to Compulse the Mizan back to the extra deck, as we'll bring back Kagero via its effect. Another thing that I would like to show is that even if our opponent held the Dogmatic of Punishment, with all the follow-up that we did have in regards to that, if they were to Dogmatic of Punishment the Hanzo, we would be able to get back Tobari, that we would be able to bring out this Tobari via the Punish Tobari. We get this back to our hand from the Kagero, and then we have the Notebook, which would give us the second typing for the Mizan to attack directly. So we're going to activate the Notebook now, getting us two sets, as we're going to get back the Iron Dagger along with the Insect Ninja. And then from here we'll be able to fuse away into our Mizan, as we're going to go directly into battle phase and attack for 2500 direct damage, hopefully showing how you can play against this deck while not feeling like you auto-lose the matchup because of all the floodgates, and kind of giving choices of what you can do to navigate through this matchup. For this final bit, I don't want to show the floor replay simply because my opponent bricks, so there's no point of it. But the main thing being that I do have a Book of Eclipse set, and I kind of want to show how you can play through that, since it is a popular card this format. We're going to activate the Rhoda, and then we're going to get ourselves the Kagero, and you'll see that obviously we have a set up board. You kind of need the bodies in order to do this. We're going to normal summon the Kagero here, and then we're going to bring back out our Obari, giving us the extra typing for the level 5, as we're going to use its effect, and we're going to specifically banish the duplication, which will put a green ninja that we got from the duplication to the graveyard. And what's cool about this is that we're going to see the chain of the Book of Eclipse, and because Green Ninja is now in the graveyard, we'll get its effect once the chain resolves. We're also going to get the Mizan's effect in response to the Book of Eclipse, which will bring back the Mitsu, giving us an extra typing, and we're going to then use the Green Ninja to put back the Mizan in attack position, as we're then going to use our 2 ninjas of different typings in order to go into a second Mizan. And as you see, they're on 3,500 life points, and we'll be able to attack directly twice with the Mizans, which are at 2,500 each. Finally, with all the replays out of the way, and I hope that it ended up being an informative video, this is the deck list, and you'll see that I'm still teching in the one Lord of the Heavenly Prison. I don't know if this will stay here or not. I still need more testing with it. I have put Gamma Seals in here over the Lava Golems because of Tira players deciding to just end on a Rise Heart Pass. Just a more economical choice, and you'll see that a lot of the cards that we play are actually 1-for-1s. I felt like a Kaiju wouldn't be bad, though hindsight, you actually could technically play Radiant. You would do this because you come across a Labyrinth player, rivalry on you, you could still Radiant them because it is a Fiend type. It's also a Dark type if they Gozen you. I guess it does depend what they do have on board, but in most times you're hitting the Lady. See that Baku's nowhere to be seen on this list, and I just like Jogan more than Baku. The fact that we play so many ninjutsu art cards with, in total, via the notebooks, the dancing leaves, the duplications, and the iron daggers, being able to reveal one of them from your hand, immediately bring it out, and then just be even a duplication target that brings out multiple monsters due to its high level, makes it important to play in my opinion. And also, another cool thing is that at the very worst, you can put this in your scale and give your ninjas piercing damage in games where you have the advantage in, and it's easily searchable by Hanzo in order to do that with. That's all I really have to say about Jogan. The rest that can probably be nitpicked is the 1 Geo, which I know some people may like to play too, and I kept seeing it in my opening hand, and I just felt like if I had something extra in a lot of games, I could win them, and Lord of the Heavenly Prison being able to get you into a notebook felt kind of strong, especially when it can protect your back row, which, as stated, I do play a back row heavier deck. I used to have D barriers over the Kaijus, but I just needed something more for going second. Still doesn't change the fact that essentially 15 cards that we can set with the 9 ninjutsu arts and the 6 Perm/Book of Moons. The side deck, there's still stuff that I'm working out on. I don't know if I want to keep this thrust package in here like this. Admittedly, it does bring versatility, and being able to search out blowout cards in some of these matchups is important, especially when something like Arise Heart is so easily triggerable in order to get your thrust live. But while that's there for now, I don't know how long it'll last. It's another thing that I'm testing. What I do like is the 3 Hatronades along with the Kurikaras though. Kurikara can help out a lot of annoying things, and the Hatronade plays around Lord of the Heavenly Prison back row boards, essentially setting you up for an OTK if you have the hand for it. Anyways, that's all I have for today's video, and if you made it this far, I thank you so much for watching and I hope you enjoyed. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them down below. It's Bones, signing out.